Good afternoon, members of the press, fellow Kenyans. Yesterday afternoon, I gave an update on the status of the coronavirus disease, confirming 7 cases of the disease in Kenya. Of the 7, 6 are Kenyans, while the remaining one is a Burundian national. All the 7 are doing well under the observation of the Ministry of Health and Kenyatta National Hospital staff. It is important to note that all these cases have been imported from outside the country. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last 24 hours, we have screened and tested another 8 cases, all of which have turned out negative and are being processed as we speak to be discharged to go home. So this is good news that today we are not reporting any increase in the positive cases that we have in the country. We are, however, continuing with tests and contact tracing, and we have already contacted 145 people who have come into contact with persons who have tested positive for the virus. It is also worth noting, I think, that we have screened over 600,000 people who have entered our country in all our entry points. I wanted to make this clear because yesterday I had a discussion on one of the TV stations where somebody said that we have screened 32 people. I think it is very important to separate between screening and testing and then confirming. It's a very important distinction, because I think somewhere along the line we are missing out the point, and perhaps we should take responsibility because we are the ones communicating the same. We have tested, so we have screened over 600,000 people at the airport and elsewhere. Some of you were there when we were doing screening in the Ongata Ongai area. We have tested 173 people, out of which 7 are the ones who have turned out positive. Fellow Kenyans, the good news is that the 7 patients are in stable conditions. And indeed, today, we began the test to see whether any of them might have turned positive. This is something that we will be discussing again. Turned negative. This is something that we'll be discussing again tomorrow. However, we continue to appeal to Kenyans in order to break the chain of transmission of this virus. We continue to maintain high standards of hygiene as we have advised. To this effect, the government has directed the involvement of the Nyumba Kumi leaders, sub-chiefs and chiefs in ensuring compliance to these directives, but also in creating the smallest units in terms of the management of the disease. The purpose of invoking the Nyumba Kumis and the sub-chiefs is that if there is a problem within that area, the sub-chiefs and the chiefs would know very quickly in which Nyumba Kumi there is a problem. Now, this we want the citizens to take very seriously. And I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that as much as a lot of our people are not taking it lightly, there are those people, skeptics, who continue to pour doubt as to the seriousness of our situation. I urge you to continue as members of the Fourth Estate. I urge you to continue to educate and affirm that this situation is real. It cannot be unreal in Kenya when it is real in China, it is real in the United States, in Spain, in Italy, and we think that in Kenya it is something to joke around with. It is not. It is not. And sometimes one is baffled by some of the reaction that we are getting. Please, let's take this matter seriously. Secondly, we will embark on random screening in targeted areas for members of the public, commencing this Saturday, March 21st, 2020. The exercise, to be coordinated by the Ministry of Health, will also involve other stakeholders, such as the Red Cross and security personnel, among others. Thirdly, we are structuring the team that is dealing with combating this virus. The Public Service Commission has today approved the remaining Ebola champions who have now been incorporated to assist in the COVID-19 response interventions. Our public health team has also embarked on disinfection of various premises and locations in the Nairobi city. We are liaising with county governments to escalate the same in the rest of the country. At the same time, I'm appealing to Kenyans who have been advised to work from home by their respective institutions to do exactly that. This is not a holiday season. It is time to fight a deadly virus. By congregating in entertainment joints, bars and restaurants, we will beat the very purpose for which they were asked to work at home. And we will resort eventually to us taking action against the institutions that people are gathering in. As we said, we are seeking for citizen responsibility. And that's a pregnant term because it carries with it certain aspects of behavior that we must change, ladies and gentlemen. And therefore, if we have been asked to take our children home and to isolate our kids, it did not mean that we now start taking them to the shopping centers, we start taking them to markets, we start taking them to playgrounds and museums. That is not what the intention is. The intention is to create social distance. So even while we are at home, if we do not keep social distance, then we will be defeating the logic of why we are doing it in the first place. I am appealing to Kenyans, therefore, to observe the instructions that the government has given. Entertainment areas, entertainment joints have been advised to stick to very strictly, to stick to a number of things. Number one is levels of cleanliness, sanitation, and hand washing. That's one. Number two is to stick strictly to the hours that they are supposed to operate. Very strictly to the hours that they are supposed to operate. Any institution of entertainment that is operating a minute beyond the hours that they are supposed to operate will have their licenses withdrawn. Finally, I want to appeal to members of the public to desist, and I have said this almost in every meeting that we have had, almost in every press conference. We have appealed to people to desist from any form of misinformation. I think you are all alive to what that the social media has been abuzz with all sorts of rumors, including that we are locking down Nairobi, that we are sending people home, that we are doing this and we are doing the other. Things that have come from nowhere, that we are deploying the military. You know, these rumors must stop. They must stop. And I think that members of the press, I would appeal to you to make this very obvious and to highlight this matter. And the reason why it is so important for us to do so is because when you tell people in social media to stay away from a hospital or to stay away from an area because there are suspected cases there, and it is false, one day it will be the truth, and people will still think it is false. You all know the story. I don't know whether you do. You all know the story of the boy and the leopard. It's an African story. This is what is happening today. We have got people who are spreading malicious rumors, falsehood within the internet, and I'm appealing to them to stop. But because we are aware that empty appeals will not work, we will proceed to arrest a number of them just to prove our point. And of course, since they will have something to report regarding coronavirus, we'll oblige them by taking them to Bagathi, where they can report the matter, because, you know, that's where the issues of coronavirus can be handled. So we'll pay, they can go and visit and give their reports there. I still want to appeal to Kenyans for them to remain calm and not to cause panic. In fact, it is persons in the social media who are causing concern and panic among citizens. And to say this, as long as we do what we are saying, if we are disciplined enough to follow what the government is saying, then we will contain this transmission. That is what has happened to the countries that have contained it. They have behaved very responsibly, and they have managed to avoid situations that could have been catastrophic. This is a challenge we have. We have no doubt that if we behave well, we will avoid the kind of scenarios that we are seeing in other countries. But if we do not adhere, and if we do not follow what the government is appealing to do, I can also tell you that the results will also show. Actions in this case, behavior in this case, has its consequences. As His Excellency, the President, assured you, on the day that he spoke to the nation, we have been faced with many a crisis before. And even this one, we will face in a similar format, with fortitude, with calmness, with unity, with cooperation. I want to thank all those who are taking their own initiatives to ensure that we are all involved in the fight against this disease and this virus. The business community, the non-governmental organizations, you members of the press, I want to state that we are very grateful to all those who are coming out to support our cause. I want to take this opportunity to appeal to members of the public to utilize the free number that we have said, and it is working. You can call the number 719, and when you are reporting a case, this is the number to call, and we are urging people to call them instead of calling individuals within the Ministry of Health. I want to stop there and take one or two questions and release.
Yes.